Okay, so you already mentioned Finch. We'll go to it in a second, but I would like you to tell me before that, what is the current state of the design stack, and why would someone even think that there is a need or space for something beyond what's currently there?
You mean why anyone would start a new AEC tech startup?
Right. That's right, yes, in the design space.
Yeah, in the design space. I think there's a lot of frustration within the industry right now, and the fact that we have a waiting list of 80,000 professionals at the moment tells me that a lot of people think that here's room for better solution, better products out there. And we started Finch out of frustration that the current tools didn't do what we wanted them to do. And I think that in general is a good way of starting a company. You have a problem you really want to solve, and then you're trying to solve it for yourself and try to see if are there other people out there that has the same problem.
And what was the MVP at that time? Like when you decided to go 100% into Finch?
Yeah, then we had nothing. We had a Grasshopper scripts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was this. Okay, sounds good. Okie dokie. So let's move on into Finch then. Tell us what Finch is.
Yeah, so Finch is a design tool for early stage. We generate floor plans. Our customers are architects. So that's what we do. Generate floor plans, the inside of the building.
Where do you see future going for solutions like Finch or other design type of software?
I think,
and we have to mention AI in this response.
Yeah, sure. There will be a lot of AI, no worries. But I think, I mean, if we back up a couple of years, a lot of offices try to go into having just one software to rule them all. Revit was usually, or in a lot of cases, maybe the choice. And Revit do a lot of things very good, but not everything. Some other things, other software are doing much better, basically. Mm-hmm. And I think in general, we see that the industry wants more tools that does things really, really well. So then we will have more of fragmented market, I would say. I would say that we were going to be a bunch of different tools that are best in class at what they're doing. And on the topic of AI, I think the AI will be the enabler for these tools to produce a lot of granular data very fast.
Have you made any mistakes during, or maybe can you share with someone who is developing products in AEC? What mistakes should they avoid when designing their go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, first of all, I think running a startup is there is a lot of mistakes all the time, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, a bad thing would be not learning from your mistake. Making mistake is no problem as long as you iterate and learn from them.
So if you were to give yourself an advice for yourself from 2 years back, after having lots of conversations with architects, what advice would you give yourself to become better in selling product?
Yeah, be more focused. I mean, I would say solve a very clear problem. Now we're solving floor plans. That's what we do. In the beginning, it's easy when you start a company if you're not focused to say, yeah, we can solve terrain, we can solve the facade, we solve the daylight simulation, and all of a sudden you do a number of things, and you're really not the best one at any of them. And I think we were not as focused in the beginning as we are now, and that is something I would like to tell Jesper 2 years ago. Be more focused.
Very good. Okay, noted that.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks and Bytes podcast, where we dive into construction and AEC technology. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology, and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode. Hey everyone, this episode forms part of our series of exploring the future of design technologies in architecture, engineering, and construction. Our report, The Future of Design Software in AEC, reveals exclusive insights from 7 industry leaders who are disrupting how we design the buildings around us. From cloud-first systems to interoperability, AI, and browser-based tools, this is essential reading for anyone who is interested in the future of the design stack. To download the report, visit www.bricks-bytes.com/downloads. Now for the episode.
Jesper, very nice to see you again, and welcome to Bricks and Bytes. So you are a Swedish architect who's gone tech. Actually quoting your LinkedIn page description. So co-founder and CPO of Finch. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey towards construction tech and to Finch?
Yeah, I would say I've always done a lot of creative things. I mean, when I was younger, I was playing in rock band and was really into music and so on. And then I had a extra, work to pay for my recordings and so on. So I started working at a construction site, basically. And at the construction site, I figured maybe I should just go ahead and get an education so I can, design the buildings. Mm-hmm. So I became an architect. And then me and Pamela, one of the other co-founders here at Finch, ran an architecture office for, I think it was 5 years here in Sweden. And during that time, we started to develop a lot of digital tools in-house to make our own workflow more efficient. And it was in an attempt to promote our own office, I started posting these tools on social media and so on. And one of the tools, that Active Plan, got picked up and went viral, got a lot of attention. And
when was
that? When was that? Maybe 20 or 19 or something like that.
Oh, what tool was it? What was it doing?
Yeah, okay. Sorry. It was a Grasshopper prototype we developed in-house that generated floor plans. Basically, you had a shape and we filled it with a floor plan. And we developed that to be able to, compete with the bigger firms. We were a small team of 5 architects, and this was the tools that we developed in-house to make us more efficient, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was the thinking behind creating digital products at that time within this internal, for the internal use case? How did you go about creating it? What was like the first thing? How did you approach creation of the software at that time?
Yeah. So at this time, it was a Grasshopper prototype. We had our existing, working architecture firm. So we started to look into how does it work with tech. We knew construction industry. We did not know the tech industry. So we went to Mink, that is a local incubator here in Malmö. We got some advice on how to raise money. Mm-hmm. And then we raised money and, teamed up with a bunch of developers. Actually, our third co-founder, Martin, he's a developer. And we started to write code and started to talk to customers. And that's it. That's the journey. That's what we're still doing. We're writing code, raising money, and talking to customers.
Okay. And you're still doing architectural projects?
No. We folded the architecture company within a year because we figured there was so much potential in Finch, and we figured that let's give this 100% of our time and effort to see where we can take this.
Sounds good. Okay, so you already mentioned Finch. We'll go to it in a second, but I would like you to tell me before that, what is the current state of the design stack, and why would someone even think that there is a need or space for something beyond what's currently there?
You mean why anyone would start a new AEC tech startup?
Right. That's right, yes, in the design space.
In the design space. I think there's a lot of frustration within the industry right now, and the fact that we have a waiting list of 80,000 professionals at the moment tells me that a lot of people think that here's room for better solution, better products out there. And we started Finch out of frustration that the current tools didn't do what we wanted them to do. And I think that in general is a good way of starting a company. You have a problem you really want to solve, and then you're trying to solve it for yourself and try to see if are there other people out there that has the same problem.
Mm-hmm. So like when you decided that, okay, Finch is something we want to go for.
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
Full time, we are dropping the architecture. What was the first thing that you felt at that time was MVP?
Excuse me, the last part there.
What was the MVP at that time? Like when you decided to go 100% into Finch?
Yeah, then we had nothing. We had Grasshopper scripts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was this. Okay, sounds good. Okie dokie. So let's move on into Finch then. Tell us what Finch is.
Yeah, so Finch is a design tool for early stage. We generate floor plans. Our customers are architects, so that's what we do: generate floor plans, the inside of the building.
Mm-hmm. And do you generate these floor plans based on some like parametrical requirements, or how does this differentiate from perhaps other tools, maybe?
Yes. So first of all, I would say that there are no other tools that has on the market that generates compliant floor plans. I mean, there are a handful that's trying to do it, and I mean the traditional tools basically doesn't have any generative features. So this is what we focus on: generate floor plans, generate the inside of the building, and we do it in a number of different ways. Our users can both generate floor plans based on their own libraries and their own designs and so on, and then you can choose the Finch generated floor plans. Mm-hmm. And one thing that's a big part of Finch, maybe that's because we are architects ourselves, so it's in the DNA there, is that everything you do in Finch, you generate a floor plan, and then you can interact with it as a proper BIM tool. So you can change the door width or move a wall and so on. And we believe that this dance between generation, editing, creation, and design is very important. So Finch is not like a one-click solution that here is a building, let's build it. It's meant to be interacted with.
Mm-hmm. So you generate the floor plan, and then you can, as an architect, design around that, change, edit. And you said something I feel like sounded very crucial, which was compliant floor plans.
Yeah.
Where does this compliance come into the play, and what do you mean by compliance in this sense?
Yeah, so compliant floor plans. I mean, accessibility is one thing. I think if we have a look at, for example, Midjourney, that's a great tool to produce images and so on. And I mean, Midjourney can produce floor plans as well, or at least pictures that looks as floor plans. But our users, and I mean, the profession as an architect, is to create a floor plan that is compliant to the regulation where you practice, or to the brief from the client and so on. So it's very much into detail to making sure that you can fit the bed in the bedroom, that the bedroom is a certain size, that the corridor has a certain width, and so on. So this is something that we worked a lot with. How do we make sure that the plans are compliant in the region where they are generated?
Interesting. So, how many countries, like regulations, have you got so far? Have you implemented so far?
Yeah. So the way we went about it was when we started to think about how do we solve this generation of compliant floor plan, and we fairly quickly figured out that if we as a company were to add all of these rules worldwide, globally, fire, accessibility, it's not scalable. We would never be able to do that. So the way so here we rely on the user. So our users, when they use Finch, they can add a number of parameters. For example, how wide should my corridors be, or how big should these rooms be? How long can the egress distance be, and what are the relationships between the different spaces, and so on. And then we check the generated results, or steer the generated results in that direction, and make sure that the project is compliant, basically. So it's more about letting the user into the process rather than we as a company saying this is great architecture, this is compliant, and so on.
That's interesting. So, like when you were explaining this, I had a picture in my head that, for example, I know in the UK where I am, there are building regulations. They start from A. I think they finish on Q or R, somewhere like that. And I was thinking if someone could copy and paste the text of the regulation into some sort of software, and the software will be smart enough to figure out like all of the rules and regulations. Is this something that people think about right now, or that's something that's it's maybe melody of the future, but not yet?
Yeah, I'm sure we will get there someday. But I think there are still. It's. I don't think that is just a technical thing. I think it's also. I mean, for example, if we have a look at ChatGPT, that has, come very far when it comes to language and text and so on. I mean, you do not ask ChatGPT to generate a contract for a project of $200 million, for example. And then you say, oh, I'm going to rely on this. I'm not going to talk to a lawyer. And I think the same thing will be for architects and the construction industry. I don't think anyone, an investor, say, okay, I have $200 million here. I'm going to do a great project. Let's generate it with any software. You will most likely always want someone that takes responsibility for this. So then you probably would rely on an architect using AI to do this kind of thing. So I think that's a kind of a twofold thing there.
Okay, let's chat on. So you are CPO, I guess that's Chief Product Officer.
Yeah. I'm not the technical one. I'm not the business one. I'm the one tweaking the algorithm, saying what should the product do, and so on.
What are the rules that you are? What are the rules that are guiding your thinking and intuition when designing products in AEC design style?
Yeah. So I think first of all, it's a very exciting field. I think there's. The traditional tools that are out there has been around for a very, very long time, and I think there are some still. I think there's room for improvements when it comes to to a lot of things. I've been working as an architect myself for quite a few years. I've been using a lot of 3D softwares. I rely very much on my gut feeling in combination with just dialogue with the customers. And social media is another thing that it's actually really great now, because you can post things on LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on, and immediately get feedback. Is this something that people like? Is this something that they need? And so on. And then you can have a more of a deep dialogue with our users and clients and so on. So that's I think it's very simple. Also, when you create, I'm not a professional CPO that's gone from corporate to corporate to corporate. I'm a founder of a company that had a problem that I wanted to solve because I didn't think this existing solution was good enough. So we're just running in that direction right now.
Mm-hmm. How wide or narrow you think about Finch in terms of future development of a product? Is it going to be a tool that generates floor plans, or there will be something else to it? Like what is your thinking about?
Yeah, we're trying to be as focused we can, if I put it like this, we're trying to be the best tool for floor plans, period. We're trying to be the best tool that generate the best floor plans. We're trying to be the best tools where you can design the best floor plans and so on. And when you're trying to be the best at something with a small team, with limited resources, you have to stay super focused. So that is what we do. And that's what we're going to do until we're by far the best one. Then we're probably going to go a little bit wider as well. And tying into that, when you are that focused or narrow, it also becomes very important with interoperability and so on. Because even if we are very narrow and focused and trying to solve the floor plan design, our users and clients, they are hired to solve the whole problem. The whole building, they have terrain, they have facade, they have documentations and so on. So to be able to provide them with a nice experience, we've spent a lot of time docking into existing softwares, and that is key for us.
Okay. I should ask this question probably slightly earlier, but why the problem of generating? Why there is the problem of generating floor plans exists actually? What's the difficulty there?
Why it's a hard problem?
Yeah. Why is it the problem actually? Yeah.
How do you mean? Why is it the problem why is it worth solving this problem, or why is it hard to solve it, or
why
what?
There is a market there to create a software for that?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we need to back up a little bit there. I think in general, the market and the world is going in a direction where you need more and more data to make more informed decisions. And we see that when designing a project, the brief gets longer and longer and longer. Sustainability is a huge part of it these days. It hardly existed. 10 years ago, no, maybe longer, but anyhow. And I think there was a time where a napkin sketch, a 2D sketch was good enough. Then you started a project and you built it and so on. And then we got more and more information. We got CAD and we got BIM, we got analysis tools and so on. And I think this evolution will just continue. And we've already seen it with renders, for example, that back in the days, you had a hand sketch, that's good enough. Now you need realistic pictures and you need it fast. You need it immediately. Now you want even videos of the projects and so on. And I think that's going to be the same with the design of the building, that you would like more data before you make a decision whether or not going to build it. And to be able to provide more data faster, we need to rely on generation of that data. So I think you could start with just generating volumes and say that's fine. But we believe that in order to progress a project and know what it's going to be when it's built, you need that kind of granular data that you find first when you have floor plans in there. So that's why we think that's a very important problem to solve.
Mm-hmm. And the floor plans in the project that you're talking about, are we talking about high-rise apartment buildings, or are we talking about low-rise residential dwellings?
Yeah, so we started with residential, but it's multifamily. It's skyscrapers or 3-story buildings, but usually with 10 plus apartment, I would say up to how many you want, basically. And that's also why we're targeting or collaborating mainly with larger firms that has this kind of large project.
There should be a lot of demand for this type of work in the Middle East, I guess, right now. As I flick through sometimes like property offers, and there's each of them have lots of these floor plans, and I guess there's huge demand there. Do you have clients over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we have clients all over the world, and a lot of them are designing in Middle East and globally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, maybe you can tell us a little bit about like case study of your client, obviously without mentioning things that you should not be mentioning. Like, what's the typical, perhaps, onboarding with the customer, and what do they use it for? How long does it take them versus traditional way? Tell us more.
Yeah, so we've seen up time savings. That is usually the thing we measure, and up to 13 times of time saving we've seen so far. But I mean, a typical workflow is that we sign a customer, we do the onboarding. It's I mean, I would say most architects are pretty tech savvy, so an hour onboarding and then you're up and running. And the typical workflow for most of our clients is that you start in either Rhino or Revit and do a massing. You stream that massing through our plugins into Finch. You generate your apartments, circulation, and these kind of things, and then you stream a full BIM model into Revit as a native Revit format, where you then can continue with the documentation and so on. And what we've seen is that a lot of our clients has used Finch to go deeper, faster, basically. So maybe it's in a competition project where you earlier on did a mass, you did the unit, the unit mix. So you had, here's going to be some circulation, here's going to be some unit, but you never went down to the floor plan level. While with Finch, they can generate the floor plans in there and then present more data for the more accurate data for the competition. That could be one of the use cases, I would say.
Okay, so you said 13x faster. They can do it.
Yeah.
1-3 times.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So for me to understand, so someone can generate a model within, you said, Rhino or Revit, and then ships this model to Finch. Within Finch, 13 times faster, they generate their floor plans or various options for floor plans. And then they present it to the customer, or they decide the economics of the project. And once established, then they take the chosen floor plan structure and then move it onto the Revit for the further detailed design.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, and I mean, the Finch are a part of the workflow. That is important to remember. I mean, we're doing our part very well, but the client, I mean, there's a lot of things out of it as outside of it as well, like, you know, constructing the narrative, producing nice pictures and so on for the competition. But our part is the one that we're describing there.
So Finch is actually a point solution, is it?
What do you mean with the point solution?
Point solution, I would mean that's solving one specific problem.
Yeah.
Okay. But sounds like it solves it in a very good efficiency of 13 times. So.
Yeah, I would say so, and I think it's always, I think, as I mentioned earlier on, when you are a small team, if you're very focused, you can achieve great things, but it also becomes, as you say, very narrow. And I think that's the key to success in our case.
Mm-hmm. So going vertical, okay. How do you think about defensibility of your product? Why someone would not start Finch for all tomorrow and do it differently? Why? How defensible your project is, you think?
Yeah, I think it's very defensible, actually, and I do not worry so much about that. I think our main focus is to build a great product that a customer loves, and I think that is by far the best defense. And we see other startups coming up, and I don't see that as a problem. I don't even see them as competitors. I think the more new companies we are in the market, preparing, because it is also a behavioral shift going from very traditional manual methods to generating things and do this kind of thing. So I think it's just good. We got some pull from all of the other companies as well. So long story short, the defensibility I don't see. I'm not too worried about. And I also know that we spend a lot of time building it, and it was really, really hard. I think that's a good defensibility as well.
Yeah. I'm actually curious. I'm going to ask a cheeky question now.
Go ahead.
So if someone is building a tool that they can do the detailed design, initial design, generate automated floor plans.
Yeah.
Why this solution will fail against Finch solution from the generation of floor plan point of view?
Yeah, I mean, if someone is building the same thing but better, that solution will probably win. But we haven't seen it so far, and our aim is to build, as I said, a great product. We do it close to the customers, and I think that's a winning concept. And I would also say it is not necessarily a bad thing with competition. I think it's a big market. There's room for more. I mean, there is still room for Mercedes, although BMW is there. I mean, I don't think I'm not too worried about that.
Fine. Okay. I wanted to touch. You mentioned earlier interoperability, and I guess it is a very important feature when you're thinking about moving models from Rhino to Finch, from Finch back to Rhino or Revit. Yeah. How did you tackle interoperability problem, and how is it going?
It's going very well. I mean, we have our own plugin to both Rhino, Revit, and Grasshopper. That's my personal favorite, of course. And I think that's key. We early said, or actually from the start said, we do not want to send files. We don't want to export, import, lose data, and so on. So with our current solution, you download a plugin. If we look at Rhino, for example, you download a Finch plugin, you log into that, and with a single click of a button, you send your design, your building mass into the Finch system. And the same thing when you start tweaking it or generating things in Finch, it also goes back to Rhino.
Mm-hmm. What feedback do you get from customers that you really want to work with that needs to be improved or needs to be slightly different? Like what's super interesting that you've heard recently and you're thinking that you should apply it to Finch?
Yeah, I would say if we take a step back once again and look at the industry from a bigger perspective, I think we have these traditional tools like Rhino, Revit, AutoCAD, and so on. They are very very flexible, and it relies on the user's craft and skill set, basically. Mm-hmm. And then we have the new emerging tools, usually startup. They work with automation, generation, collaboration, and all of these kinds of things. But they are not yet as developed, I would say, as Revit and Rhino, these traditional tools that has been developed over 25 years and so on. And that is something that we think is very important for Finch. So we spend a lot of time, besides our core functionality of generating things, also improving our editing tools to be able to allow our users to take advantage of the craft, their skill set, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, they generate something and then they have an idea or a vision for a project where they want to take it. And it's important that you were able to do that with millimeter precision. Say, I want my door to be 776 millimeter wide, for example. Mm-hmm. So the precision of the tool in general and the precision of the editing parts is something that I think is super important and that we work a lot with.
Beautiful. Sounds good. Something I probably should also ask earlier, but is the generation of the floor plans happening in 2D or 3D?
So the problem of space planning, I would say it's a 2D problem. It's a 2D problem that is extruded, basically. So the generation of the floor plans is in 2D, but the platform is in 3D. So the solution, or the problem is solved in 2D, extruded into 3D, and the feedback you get, the key figures and the visuals and so on, is in 3D. And sorry.
No, you go on.
Yeah, and I would say that everything that evaluates a floor plan from the composition of space, the square meters, and the journey throughout the building, it is a 2D thing in general. But of course, since you need 3D there as well. I mean, for example, if you're looking at takeoffs, how much concrete or walls do we have in this building? Then, of course, you need a 3D aspect to know that, how efficient it is.
Okay. Jesper, I wanted to talk with you about go-to-market strategies. And I noted that you mentioned earlier you have 80,000 signups for the product.
Yeah.
What type of, before we go to market, what type of customers are these people and what do they design?
Yeah, so it's mainly architects. We have some engineering firms and construction firms and so on. But and it is in the industry, of course. I mean, if you are not a AEC professional, I think what Finch is doing is not that exciting for you. You understand the beauty of it when you're in the industry, I would say. But it is mainly architects, the big chunk of it, I would say, and it's divided basically all over the planet. I think that's the beauty of social media and internet. You can get in touch with everyone very, very fast.
And what type of architect designer is Finch designed for? Actually, is it small firm, larger firm? Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So now we've teamed up with larger firms globally that has residential projects. So I would say 100 plus employees that works with residential projects. That is our main focus right now. But of course, I mean, smaller firms with residential project would fit as well. And as time progresses, of course, we would like to widen this a lot. But the strategic partners that we have right now is larger international architecture offices.
Great. How did you get to this number of 80,000 people? And I'm just curious about your go-to-market strategy. How did this amount to?
Yeah, so it started with when we launched the videos of our in-house tools that we had at our own architecture firm. And when we saw this interest, we said, let's set up a mailing list or a wait list, and start collecting emails. And that has just been going since then, basically. People are signing up, and then we're reaching out to the people that has signed up to the wait list. For example, if there's a lot of people from the same studio signing up, we might reach out there and so on.
Have you made any mistakes during, or maybe can you share with someone who is developing products in AEC? What mistakes should they avoid when designing their go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, first of all, I think running a startup is there is a lot of mistakes all the time, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, a bad thing would be not learning from your mistake. Making mistake is no problem as long as you iterate and learn from them. And going to market strategies and mistakes, I wouldn't say. I mean, we're in the middle of it. It's going well. We're collecting a lot of emails and we're signing a lot of customers and so on. I don't know if I'm the person to give advice on that one. To be a little bit humble there. It's going well, but this is the way we tried and iterated forward to.
Okay. Great. Let's move on to the team. You mentioned a few times that your team is small. So I know that there is you, Pamela, third co-founder.
Martin, yes.
Yeah, Martin, who is technical guy.
Yeah.
And like who else is there? How did you structure a team? How big is it right now? Tell us more.
Yeah, so we're 10 people. We started out, me, Pamela, and Martin. And then we hired our first developer a year into this journey, and then we hired more developers, a couple of architects, and so on. And so we're 10 people, work closely together. Or sorry, what was the question? I'm
How did you structure your team? Is it like so? There's 10 of you, I know, and how many people are, for example, selling the product, or how many people are developing the tech of it?
Yeah, so it's mainly developers at the moment that writes code. Mm-hmm. We have me and Pamela has done a lot of selling and so on, with fairly few touch points, to be honest. So we haven't doubled down on sales yet, because it has been a long journey of getting the product up and running. That all AEC startup face right now, unfortunately, that you have to build your own geometry engine and so on. So before we had that in place, but so it's been mainly me and Pamela selling the product. Now we have another architect also selling the product on board here, but it's very developer heavy, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to give yourself an advice for yourself from 2 years back, after having lots of conversations with architects, what advice would you give yourself to become better in selling product?
Yeah, be more focused. I mean, I would say solve a very clear problem. Now we're solving floor plans. That's what we do. In the beginning, it's easy when you start a company, if you're not focused, to say, yeah, we can solve terrain, we can solve the facade, we solve the daylight simulation, and all of a sudden you do a number of things, and you're really not the best one at any of them. And I think we were not as focused in the beginning as we are now, and that is something I would like to tell Jesper 2 years ago. Be more focused.
Very good. Okay, noted that. Okay, so I wanted to touch on your funding round, which was done, I believe, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, 2 years ago. So you had a seed round, and that was 2.5 million euros.
Yeah.
Not Swedish krona.
No, then we would have been broke by now.
Yeah. So can you tell us who did you do it with, and where's the money going?
Yeah, so the main investor is Inventure. It's a Finnish venture capital firm. The investor were familiar, or the partner at that investment firm was very familiar with the space, the construction industry, and so on. So I think that's where we really, clicked and thought that this could be a good investor to proceed with. And the money is going to develop the product. It's a very complex problem we're trying to solve, and it has been very, code heavy. So that's where most of the money goes, to salary to the people that are working in the company. I mean, we do no paid marketing whatsoever and so on. So it's building the product. And of course, we started to sell. That's why we have such a long runway. That we haven't raised yet. But of course, an A round will probably come up here in the future, sooner or later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When is the A round?
Yeah, we currently we're not fundraising, but I would probably guess.
Come on, founders always fundraising.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Yeah.
Always raising.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, that's actually true. You always have a dialogue going with venture capitalists and potential investors and so on. But it's also, I think, it's important to I mean, go out fundraising, do that very efficiently, close the round, get money in the bank, and then focus on building product and selling it to customers. So I mean, because the aim of raising capital is to produce something and sell it to customer. You don't want to be a company that raise capital just for raising it and forget about the selling part, basically.
We've heard a lot of these.
Yeah. So if we're not currently fundraising. If there are any VCs out there that would like to talk to us, for sure, we always open for a call.
Mm-hmm. And the investor that you decided to go with, you said that there was a chemistry because they understood the space. Did they understand the space because they are construction tech VC, or just someone who you dealt with? They had background in construction.
Yeah, so the partner at InVenture, Lauri, he comes from the industry. He knows the construction industry, has been working there before, and I think that was a huge win. I mean, if you are a generalist, if you've never been into the construction industry, I think it can be very hard to understand the different stakeholders, the problems, and so on. While in this case, Lauri, he already knew all of these kind of things, so we did not have to educate him on that. We had the same vision for the industry and could go deeper into the dialogue faster. So I think that is also something important, that you have an investor that understands both the industry and where you want to go with the product and so on, so you don't spend all of your time arguing with the investor if you're doing the right thing or so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you speak with others, or that was just?
So in general, when raising money, you talk to a lot of investors, and I mean, that's the name of the game. You need to talk to hundreds of them, see where's chemistry, and then if someone's interested, you get a term sheet. Then you get the interest from the other ones, and then you can start negotiating and so on. If you just talk to one investor, then you have no leverage. Then they dictate the terms and so on. So I think the focus should always be create a good case for them to invest in, and then talk to a lot of investors, and that would be my advice, probably.
Perfect. Okay, thinking about maybe the stage that you are at and looking a little bit into the future, what would be the next capital that you raise spent on?
Yeah, I mean,
is it like to scaling the sales, or still developing further features within the product?
No, I mean, we use the capital from the seed round to develop the product and find product market fit, making sure that we have something. So the next round, the Series A that's will come up, will for sure be to accelerate sales. Mm-hmm. I mean, the product development will continue as it does, but we're at the phase where we in general accelerate sales.
Great. Okay, so moving on to revenue, or at least thinking about profitability at some point, or I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you're thinking about being profitable and at what stage, and if not at this point, why not?
Yeah. So I would say if it continues as it does now, we could reach profitability during next year, if that would be a route we would like to take. I think we will continue accelerating, raising more money and so on, but reaching profitability or going in that direction at least also give you a good situation. I mean, you do not want to raise money with your back against the wall. You don't want to end up in a situation where you need to take money from anyone just to, I mean, not to fold the company. So I think that's and the industry has changed a little bit as well, or quite a bit. I mean, if you go back a bunch of years here in time, where you could buy customers basically and spend, and profitability was not a thing. That's not how it is anymore, and I don't think in our industry. So that is something that you always need to consider.
I like it. Very pragmatic way of approaching it. What about pricing models? What's your pricing model right now? How did you come up with it?
Yeah, so I don't want to go too deep into the exact numbers here, but I mean, what we're doing now is signing enterprise deals for 1 year with the firms. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we've chosen that one is that we need a commitment from the firms that allows us to invest in onboarding, education, preparing their data sets, and these kind of things. Mm-hmm. So that is the main thing. We actually have a tier that's called Finch Basic as well. That costs 49 euros a month. It's a SaaS product. Basically, you sign up. It is a subscription model where you sign up and you can cancel anytime. This is, of course, a limited part of the product. But so that is the two different routes we're taking right now.
Mm-hmm. How did you come up with it? This enterprise package.
Yeah. So as I said, I mean, we thought to be able to, have a longer lasting relationship where we could, get continuous feedback from customers that use the product, then we can go on improvement, and then they come back with new feedback. Then we needed a longer time period, basically. And I think also when you develop a product, it's important to charge that much, so you also get a commitment from the client. I mean, if we were giving it, what happens, and I mean, this is my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people have other opinions about this one. But what happens when you give away something for free is that the people that are getting it do not necessarily value it, and they will not give you the right feedback either, because you don't want feedback from people that will not buy it anyhow.
Yes.
You want feedback from people that has a problem, that say, it's worth for me to pay you money to solve this for me. Then you get the most honest feedback. I think the exchange of money is a very honest thing. When people have paid for it, then you get the hard truth. Then they say, what is this? It's not working.
Yeah. Well, give me money back.
Yeah, give me my money back. And that is, I think it's just the more honest, the direct, instant feedback you get, the quicker you can iterate.
I agree. Would you consider in the future having the enterprise customer having a SaaS product as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think, or let me put it like this. I think the functionality of the enterprise package will become a SaaS product as well. Mm-hmm. But I also think that the enterprise package also always will stay. I mean, with global large firms with thousands of employees, it's not just about, presenting the credit card, buy it, and so on. There's a lot of other things that they want onboarding and this kind of things. They want to negotiate a deal for a longer period of time and so on. And I mean, that's pretty standard from, I think, for all companies, from Dropbox to whatever.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Okay, so we will be wrapping up, but I'm going to ask you about a future of design stack in construction space. Yeah. Where do you see future going for solutions like Finch or other design type of software?
I think,
and we have to mention AI in this response.
Yeah, sure. There will be a lot of AI, no worries. But I think, I mean, if we back up a couple of years, a lot of offices try to go into having just one software to rule them all. Revit was usually, or in a lot of cases, maybe the choice. And Revit do a lot of things very good, but not everything. Some other things, other software are doing much better, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in general, we see that the industry wants more tools that does things really, really well. So then we will have more of fragmented market, I would say. I would say that we were going to be a bunch of different tools that are best in class at what they're doing. And on the topic of AI, I think the AI will be the enabler for these tools to produce a lot of granular data very fast. In our case, it is the floor plan. I think the further into the future we go, the higher expectations it will be on the deliverables. I mean, the more information you will want to make your decision upon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to wrap this up, more fragmented market, I would say, with a lot of best-in-class tools that use AI to produce a lot of data. I think that's where we're going.
That's interesting. So I've my only intuition was that we will be trying to consolidate these tools into one tool software, like Revit was meant to be, that you design everything from scratch to detail RIBA stages. I don't know if you guys have RIBA stages in Sweden. No, but from the conceptual design to very detailed design.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought that we are in this moment right now, that we will be consolidating these tools into one mega tool that will do everything. But seems like, based on what you say, we are not there yet, and we will have best in class, vertically orientated products, which will be solving very well particular problems, and then there will be some sort of transition from one product to another, which will perhaps take another stage of the design, or another stage of the design, right?
I think, and I hope that the interoperability between these different tools will improve a lot. But I think for a foreseeable future, I mean, I'm not talking 20 years into the future, but the coming years here, I think we will see best-in-class tools, and it will be a problem for the users to connect them. So and there's a lot of different. I mean, I saw Speckle raised a nice round now, where, I mean, what they're doing is trying to connect different tools. And how we've gone about it in Finch is to write plugins so we can send things between the different software. And I think that's what's going to happen here for the next coming years.
Mm-hmm. And I guess Finch is cloud-based as well. There's no DWG.
No, everything's in the cloud, and your models as well is saved in the cloud. And when you open them in Rhino, it's fetched from the cloud into Rhino, and you work with them, and it goes back and forth. And I think that's not a discussion anymore. I think most software are going up in the cloud. There's just so many benefits of doing it, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jesper, tell our listeners where they can find out more about you and Finch.
Yeah, so either you can visit our website at finch3d.com, or you can send me an email at jesper@finch3d.com. And in general, on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, I think that's a great way of getting in touch with me and have dialogue. So feel free to just send me a DM anywhere. You know, everyone's on Instagram, also the CEOs of the great companies and so on. So you never know who you're talking to there.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Jesper. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.